The California Environmental Quality Act has been let's just say, a hurdle to building new housing in California. There's a new bill out that is going to loosen the requirements around infill. Let's hear what they have to say.
Just signed into law could make building new housing a lot cheaper and faster, but some environmental groups are pushing back. The California Environment
Even before we get too far into this, it's literally just for infill. And this is stuff that's already surrounded by buildings. You know, if there's 10,000 buildings around you and they want to do an environmental study, well, it might be that the 10,000 buildings around you are already affecting the environment. I think that CEQA needs to be drawn back for more rural areas. You know, this is just a little thing to make cities, 2% more dense. What it really is we need better housing in more rural areas.
Environmental Quality Act was first introduced in 1970 to protect sensitive environmental areas from excessive development. But more recently, it's been used to slow down or even block some development projects. Katie Nielsen has one surprising reason why that has nothing to do with threatened habitats.
This empty lot was supposed to be an apartment complex with 222 units. It's right across the street from the West Oakland BART station. But because of a CEQA lawsuit, it never even got started.
Transit-oriented, urban.
Just look at all this stuff affecting the environment. The trains and all the cars. They're worried about putting a building here, so pretty interesting. Let's see what's going on.
Infill area, as you can see, there won't be environmental impacts from the development.
Robert Selma is an attorney who's represented developers.
There's barely any environment actually here. Look at this. Where's the environment? Where's the trees? Where's the fish? Where's the birds? Where's the streams, the rivers? Where's all the environment that you're trying to protect? This is downtown Oakland.
Trying to build new housing, much like the project that was supposed to go here at the empty field across the street.
Oh, there it
from
is.
the West Oakland BART station.
You have abandoned spaces. They're going to be filled with something. Is it better for them to be filled with houses, or is it better to be filled with garbage?
Robert said he's familiar with the project and the developers.
They're choosing
and everything
garbage.
was moving ahead, but then faced a 1.5 year long delay when they were hit with a CEQA lawsuit, not filed by environmental groups, but instead labor unions. And according to a letter sent to the Planning Commission, it was specifically plumbers and
That all makes sense now. The plumbers are so concerned about the environment. I remember that. Last time I was at an environmental march, I saw the plumbers union there actually, and they were all holding signs. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
Pipe Fitters Local 342, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 595, Sheet Metal Workers Local 104, and Sprinkler Fitters Local 483.
Developer, we want you to meet our labor standard demands. If you don't, there's an opportunity for us to object to your project.
See, labor standards, they basically say this: you have to pay us more for the environment. Can we throw these people in jail or dissolve their unions? I mean, this just sounds like a nightmare. I can't believe this is even real.
Oppose your project, appeal your project based on CEQA.
Robert says with the projects using existing sites in the middle of the city, the real issue isn't environmental concerns. He says it's usually that labor unions want the developers to use union labor during the construction process. He says on average, it can drive up the cost by about $50,000 per unit.
The vast majority of...
And keep in mind, that's on top of all the environmental studies and the regulations that are in place. So, you know, it's $10,000 for CEQA, $50,000 for labor, and then it's another $100,000 for permits when you're just trying to build a unit. So my guess is that probably 20% of the cost of units just goes into bribes, basically.
Lawsuits that have resulted from opposition to projects based on CEQA have been urban infill housing projects.
CEQA is one tool that project opponents have used to stop or slow down housing.
You know what? Also, I just want to say, if you go to San Francisco and Oakland, the East Bay, it's dirty. There's just dirt and filth and garbage everywhere. How about you clean that up if you're worried about the environment?
Other forms of development. But
Chris Elmendorf is a professor at UC Davis and an expert in the laws surrounding development. He says, according to a study from the California Center for Jobs and the Economy, CEQA lawsuits were filed in almost half of the housing going into production in 2020.
it's not
Wow.
right that any one random person or group should have the right to put any project they don't like on hold for a year or 2 or 3 years.
And part of the reason is because it's actually very cheap for them to do this. It costs $119 to do basically an injunction on them to say, hey, we might have an environmental issue. And then it costs them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to rebut it, or to hire all the people to get the approvals. So basically they're fishing. The labor union can throw out $100 per project, and then it'll cost the builders tens of thousands of dollars to refute that. I mean, that's very silly.
Simply by filing a lawsuit.
Robert says the changes to the law make sense and was also long overdue.
There really aren't environmental impacts because in a place like Oakland, because they've already been studied.
Yeah.
It's already a built environment. There aren't special status species or agricultural lands or protected environments.
We reached out to all of the labor unions involved in the lawsuit here at the West Oakland site, but none of them responded to our request for comment.
Imagine that.
Republicans in Sacramento are blasting Newsom for only now trying to make it easier to build. Meantime, a Sierra Club spokesperson says these half-baked bills written behind closed doors will have destructive consequences for environmental justice communities and endangered species across California.
How about if you want to be involved in the CEQA stuff, you have to donate? Or, go and participate in some river cleanup. Maybe if the plumbers union and the sprinklers union, the electric union, if they went and cleaned up rivers and, they had fundraisers, then I'd be like, oh, okay, these guys actually care. But right now, it smells like a lot of greed to me.